what's expected of them, what they can expect of you, just generally how things are going to look and feel for the next 7 weeks. And I think, but one of the things that we've talked about, you and I have talked about together and in our individual work, is certain times of the year have this big sensory overload where things like Christmas, Christmas supermarkets at Christmas for me as an adult without anything diagnosed or whatever is a massive sensory overload. But it's not just those kind of 6 weeks where Mariah Carey has broken free and is singing at all of us consistently. We get it in the summer holidays, don't we? It's hot. So immediately everything feels different. Our body feels different. Our skin feels different. Our hair is sweatier. We're drinking more. So then we need to go to the toilet more. There's a big sensory thing. Sun cream, you just mentioned sunblock. Even that feels different on our skin. We might be a little bit more tired if we have had a few later nights, and then we're a bit more irritable. So there is a big sensory thing with that. And then going out and about and doing days out, we've got different sounds, different people, different waiting times. Sometimes we might be eating slightly different food, even if we've packed a predictable picnic, those kind of things. The transitions around, you mentioned days out, Mandie. Again, the transition, the car journey can be full of anxiety. So there is something about, yes, we absolutely want this predictability for children, but it's about pitching it just right, isn't it? And top tip number 2 is about managing, the expectations alongside how stimulating some of this stuff is. So low stimuli things for the majority of the time, but still keeping our expectations about what children expect from us and what we expect from them.
Yeah, and like going for days out, everywhere we're gonna go is gonna be busy. Even, for
Yeah.
me, the
Yeah.
beach isn't that far away, so doing a day out to the beach, really not much of a big problem.
Mm.
However, if it's a nice day and I wanna go to the beach, thousands of other people are also got the same idea, so it's
Yes.
gonna be way busier. That stimulus of having
Uh-huh.
extra noise, extra people, the hustle and bustle, going for a
Yeah.
day out somewhere, you're gonna have more people there
Mm-hmm.
because it's the summer holidays.
Mm-hmm.
So be prepared. I'm not saying you shouldn't take your children out for the day.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
should, but be prepared. If you have a child who is quite sensory and they will get overwhelmed quite easily with crowds, make sure you identify a quiet zone that you can go to,
Mm-hmm.
and organize your day, reducing those expectations. So, um, when little Johnny does have a little wobble, you're prepared for it. A
Yeah.
magical day
Yeah.
out can still be magical, but doesn't have.
Mm. And I think there's something about, when we've got the holidays, whether you're a working parent or you have the flexibility of time to be off with the children, a day out is lovely, but we don't have to fill the calendar with that, do we? So again, when we think about low stimuli things, but still having consistent expectations, the simple things are sometimes the best, isn't it? A walk to the park, a paddle in the stream if you've got one nearby, an arts and crafts afternoon, chilling with a movie, drawing the curtains, making it nice and cool and dark, again, to manage perhaps some of the sensory stuff going on. Even just simply curling up with a book for half an hour and a nice cold drink, those kind of things, water play in the garden, whatever it might be, Lego, just a morning with the Lego. We can keep these things very simple, but still fun to be able to fill that time. It doesn't have to be all singing, all dancing, and of course, costing the earth.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So tip number 3, Mandie, is just thinking about, we've talked about being able to be predictable, be consistent, manage our expectations. But of course, there will be times when our children still wobble. We're not saying these are magic wands. We're saying we can hopefully reduce the intensity and maybe the frequency of our children being a little bit wobbly, a little bit spicy, maybe during this. Well, there's another heat wave due, isn't there, even before the end of term, but certainly over the next 7 weeks or so.